Welcome back. Let's take you now to this story. The president of Finland. In fact, let's take you to the story now. We are going to be focusing on the judiciary. Women trailblazers and pioneers in the legal fraternity have been honored at an event held at the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. Now, the occasion also marked the commemoration of a century since the promulgation of the Women Legal Practice Act of 1923. The act saw women being admitted as attorneys and advocates after previously being denied the opportunity to practice the profession. They were considered incapable of being lawyers. Now, let's discuss this further. We're now joined via Zoom by Judge Lebogang Modiba, President of the Special Tribunal. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Now, women legal practitioners commemorated the centenary of the women legal practice. I understand it happened today. Of course, this act is that of 1923, quite far back. I'd like you to talk about, just some of the gains that have been made in this industry since then. I mean, you are now currently the president of the Special Tribunal. All right, Judge Modiba, I'm going to repeat my question. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'd like to talk to you, of course, about, just the gains that have been made since then, particularly by women, since the Women Legal Practice Act of 1923.
Good afternoon, Lusanda, and good afternoon to the viewers. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. This centenary year is a momentous moment for women in the legal profession, but not only for women in the legal profession, for our society at large, because discrimination against women, in whatever form it manifests, is adverse to any society. If we're dealing with a society that is founded on constitutional values. So it is quite a momentous year. A lot has been achieved since then. The profession is largely accessible to women. Women have been able to occupy key roles in the legal profession. Women are involved in instrumental cases. They've made tremendous contribution to the South African jurisprudence, either as attorneys or advocates. They serve in other capacities, in legal advisory capacities in government or the corporate sector. But, it's not just a numbers game. And personally, I celebrate the centenary year with mixed feelings. Perhaps I should take you into a bit of a background so that you can understand why I say so.
Continue.
What preceded the promulgation of the Women's Legal Practitioners Act was two cases, one involving a woman called Woki, who was articled at that time to Mahatma Gandhi, and boldly applied to have her articles of clerkship registered. And the High Court then in the Western Cape allowed her to register, but the matter was taken on appeal, and the appellate division then overturned the decision on the basis that the definition of a person excludes a woman. Therefore, women are not, when the act makes reference to a person being admitted as an attorney, that excludes a woman. And then there was an earlier case of a woman by the same name, Sleshlen, who was similarly treated by the court. And when I read those two cases, I was admitted at the as an attorney at the turn of democracy in 1994. At that time, a lot of women had gone ahead of us to pave the way So I certainly didn't go through what earlier women like Woki or Slashlin went through, or even those who were able to enter the profession after the act was promulgated. But certainly it was not an easy road, because there are remnants of discrimination against women in society largely, and specifically in the profession. But now that we are reflecting on the journey as we celebrate the 100 years, just reflecting on the opinions of the bench that excluded the two women, I feel my dignity as a woman, even to this day. I feel that those judgments are an affront to my dignity. I also, I share deeply in their plight, because the fact that I was admitted in post 94 does not mean I've never experienced discrimination on the basis of gender, even in the profession. So it is not a numbers game, even though a lot of women have entered the profession. Great strides have been made, as I've documented some of them, or rather as I've outlined some. The road ahead remains very long towards attaining substantive equality. I mean, the fact that we're still anticipating the appointment of the very first woman Chief Justice in this country, almost 30 years post 1994, is very telling. The judiciary is grappling with the transformation of its leadership. So certainly the road ahead is still very long.
I mean, as you are referencing some of those important dates and times in our history, Judge, it becomes even more prevalent and more important to do so at a time where we are currently commemorating, Freedom Month, and of course tomorrow being Freedom Day. Just talk to us about what can then be done to achieve equality and fair representation in the legal fraternity, as you gave some of those examples, and noting, of course, that while strides have been made, there's still a number of positives that are still needed.
Yeah, a lot needs to be done, particularly, in the profession itself, because recall, I'm in the judiciary, I'm no longer practicing a legal practitioner. So I'm not speaking on behalf of the legal profession, so I'm not going to dictate to them what they should do. However, we're very interested in the support that is provided to women to ensure the substantive equality of women in the legal profession, because that is a pool from which judges are appointed. And if the profession does not achieve substantive equality, then the judiciary suffers. And that is why we've seen it's taken so long, post 1994, to see gender transformation of the judiciary. And it's simply because the pool was not transformed, the pool from which those appointments are made transformed. So what I'm going to speak to you about in terms of what more needs to be done is what women in the judiciary, are looking into doing. And I'm saying so because I'm not speaking on behalf, I don't have the mandate from the Chief Justice to speak on behalf of the judiciary, nor from the South African chapter of the International Association of Women, an organization of which I am a member. There is a lot that we are doing, and will certainly enhance those activities. We have a mentoring program where judges, among other legal practitioners, have availed themselves to mentor students who are in their final year of their LLB. And we do so by committing time, to the students. They are assigned mentors who spend time with them. We invite them to court hearings. We coach them on various issues relating to their profession. And with a view to making them comfortable, making them aware that actually it is possible, that we are human. We have gone through worse than what they probably going through, because some of us were schooled during apartheid, and that program has been running for a number of years. We are continuing with it. And then we also are involved in the mentoring of acting judges, on an informal basis. Where when judges are appointed to act in the various divisions of the High Court, we avail our time to discuss cases with them. to discuss judgments with them. And I it's one of the things we need to look into formalizing, particularly this year. And you're probably aware that the Office of the Chief Justice, or rather the Chief Justice himself, has launched earlier this year a program for aspirant women judges. So it's through that program that we will also make sure that most judges are available to support aspirant judges, to ensure that when they are ultimately appointed, they're adequately prepared, not only to contribute to promotion of the rule of law in South Africa, but to ensure that there's gender diversity on the bench, and that the decisions that are handed down by the courts reflect the lived experiences of South African women.
Judge, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Judge Lebogang Modiba, President of the Special Tribunal, of course, speaking to us there about the commemoration of a century since the promulgation of the Women Legal Practice Act of 1923.